The Surface Pro X is a product that was clearly designed to compete with what iPads offer. This is a thin, elegant looking, magnetically attached tablet that has an ergonomic design that looks good with a good battery life and still runs Windows 10 for the functionality and usability that a lot of people are looking for in a computing device. So I'm going to dive into the Surface Pro X. I'm going to talk about the hardware first and then talk about the user experience. So I'm going to go into weight first. This is not a super light machine. It's slightly lighter than like a regular Surface Pro. It's got a bigger screen, it's got thinner bezels, but it's similar in weight to a Surface Pro and still heavier than an iPad Pro. Now, the finish of this device is this black anodized aluminum. It's not magnesium like the regular Surface Pro devices are. And on my unit, I found that some of the edges were sharper than I expected. Not that you can cut your finger on it or anything, but you can definitely scrape things on it that you normally wouldn't be able to on kind of a premium Surface product. It's a little bit weird. I don't know if this is just my unit, but it's just something that you should look out for if you end up buying one. Like always though, black anodized metal, protect this stuff. I put a skin on, like this is my Surface Pro 6. This is over a year old at this point, but like this stuff scratches easily, so I highly recommend getting a skin when it comes to black Surface devices. Okay, 13-inch screen on the Surface Pro X. This is a bigger screen than what the Surface Pro 6 and 7 offer. Let me face unlock this guy. Okay, 13-inch screen, looks really nice. It's bright, it's sharp, it's got a 3:2 aspect ratio. It's basically the screen that you would expect on a high-end Surface device. And on either side of that screen are some speakers. The media consumption experience on the Surface Pro X is definitely enjoyable. It also has good connectivity, or at least better than what the iPads offer. So it's got 2 USB-C ports. They don't support Thunderbolt 3, but it also has a Surface Connect. I don't love the existence of the Surface Connect. I mean, if you don't know what it is, it's Microsoft's proprietary connection port. The AC adapter that comes in the box uses this port, but you can also use USB-C ports to charge the device. I really wish they just stuck another USB-C on the other side, or even a USB-A, but that's what you have. On the backside, you have access to the removable SSD as well as your SIM card slot, so you have access to LTE wherever you go, which is nice. You don't have access to any other hardware, at least not user-friendly access. The Wi-Fi card in here is Wi-Fi 5, not Wi-Fi 6, and the battery is, well, they claim a 13-hour battery life, but I got 9.5 hours with my regular test. So they get 13 hours by running their screen at 150 nits, which is really dim. Like, that's not a real-world test to me. 9.5, which is respectable. It's very similar to what the iPads offer in terms of battery life. The keyboard attaches magnetically like any other Surface Pro device. It doesn't work with other Surface devices. Like the Surface Pro X keyboard has to work with the Surface Pro X, but it's got the same kind of like touch and feel and just mechanics to a regular Surface Pro keyboard. The one thing that is different and super cool is the presence of this pen that's kind of hidden in the keyboard case. It sits in there magnetically and it charges in there, but it also, they've designed it in a way so that if you put it upside down, it'll automatically flip itself over to charge properly. It's pretty cool. The kickstand is like your standard Surface kickstand. It gives you a whole bunch of different kind of viewing angles and stuff like that for ergonomics. It's a nice design. You also have your webcam up front that supports Windows Hello, as well as rear-facing cameras that shoot 4K video if that's your jam for whatever reason. So I used this thing for about 5, maybe 6 days before I shot this. 6 days. And I tried to use this thing as my regular and only computer. So let's talk about performance. If you're doing regular light computer tasks, like regular stuff like, I don't know, browsing the web, emails, YouTube, Netflix, any kind of light stuff performs quite smoothly on this machine. And the whole experience is nice, right? It's got Windows 10, it's got multiple ports, it's got native mouse support, native trackpad support. It's a whole Windows 10 laptop/computer. However, if you want to run more specialized applications, like let's say you're a creative and you want to run Photoshop, this machine cannot run native 64-bit Intel-based Photoshop. You can't run 64-bit Intel-based anything. You have to run a 32-bit version of those programs. And Photoshop has one. You can run it on the system, but it just runs quite poorly. It's being emulated. It's not natively running on that ARM processor. It's taking that 32-bit instruction set and then converting it to run on this system in real time. It's cool that it does it, but performance is not good because the chip in here is the SQ1. It's an ARM chip that's designed to run ARM-based applications. So to get good performance, this thing needs to run applications that developers have made specifically for this type of processor. And right now, there's not a lot of them. And when it comes to gaming, I tried CSGO. It's not a particularly demanding game, but it's pretty choppy. Asphalt, I don't think this game is particularly well optimized for the system right now, but it runs. And if you're looking at the Surface Pro X and you're thinking, this looks like it could play games because it's got teraflops and other flops, like the commercial said, don't. Like, this is maybe graphically capable, but don't buy this thing for games. Okay, if you look at the benchmarks and you compare it to the most recent iPad Pro, the Surface Pro X is not as strong of a performer. And same if you compare it to the current Surface Pro lineup. The value of a product like this is very dependent on the ecosystem, like all the applications that run on the Surface Pro X. And right now there's very few. If you compare it to something like an iPad Pro, this is a product that has a very rich ecosystem. Like any of the iPads running iPad OS have access to, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of really good high quality apps, from like A-tier developers to like C-tier developers. It doesn't matter what you're looking for, there's probably an application that's on Apple's App Store. Now, 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. If you look at what iPads were like when they first launched, they had no apps, and there were very few people that looked at this thing with utility. It was like this gigantic iPod Touch with a big screen. No one really wanted to use it, but as these things became more popular, developers found it worth their time and effort to make apps for them. I feel like that's where we are today with the Surface Pro X. This is a device that requires developers to make apps to really flex what this hardware can do, to make it useful. And in its current state, because this is a $1,000 device, I don't know whether we'll get to that stage, whether or not developers will ever look at this platform, these ARM-based devices for Windows, and think, hey, this is worth our time. This is worth the effort and energy and resources it takes to make these apps run at an optimized state on an ARM-based tablet. So the way it sits right now, as cool as this is, as much as I like the technology and love the idea of this ARM-based tablet that's thin and ergonomic and very good on battery life and just energy efficient, it's hard for me to recommend this thing openly. Like, if I had to choose something today, I'm like, hey, person X needs a tablet of some sort and you have $1,000 budget, I would get them an iPad every day. It's only for the niche user that like really wants a productivity focused device and they want to have connectivity for their USB devices, and then this makes sense. But right now, we gotta wait. We gotta wait for the applications to show off what this thing can do. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.